Testing.
I see the time's ready for the November 16th Subdivision Utility Advisory meeting. Could we have the opening announcements, please?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and planning department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant of a subdivision application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone.
Thank you. Now, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Bill Johnson.
Here.
Mike Green is absent. Bob Duell.
Here.
Ann Fox.
Here.
Joshua Blick is absent. Bob Aldrich.
Here.
John Williams Bay.
Here.
Cindy Miles.
Present.
And Chuck Warren is absent. Sir, I show 5 members and one alternate are present.
So we have enough to have the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We can release all of them that are here. So first case is vacation case 2023-0043.
Yes, good morning, Subdivision Committee. Philip Ziegenberg with staff. Vacation 43 is a request to vacate the portion of the south Mosley right-of-way. As you can see on your screen, it is located on the north side of East Waterman between South Washington and South Rock Island Avenue. All 30 feet of this right-of-way was platted in the English edition, which is the line that is the west side of the right-of-way and goes to the east. The properties to the west of the right-of-way are in a different subdivision. Therefore, all 30 feet, if this is approved, will revert to the properties to the east. Properties to the west do not get any reversion rights from this. If you go to the aerial, Paul or type in, you can see that South Mosley was never improved into an actual street. It does contain a railroad spur. The railroad spur used to travel farther north and terminate into the old Wichita-Sedgwick building. And when Cargill came and replatted the land there, they vacated the South Mosley right-of-way by right of the plat and redeveloped it. And so now it just terminates kind of midpoint here in the right-of-way and just does not go anywhere. So though we have not caught from the railroad, it is likely that it's just been abandoned. And there would have been things taken care of when Cargill redeveloped the property to the north. There are no public utilities in the right-of-way. Evergy also does not have any equipment in the right-of-way, so there are no objections to this vacation. A couple of things to note is there's a public storm sewer on the north end. It's not in the vacation area, it's just near it. There is this public fire hydrant here on the west side of the vacation area. It's not in the right of way. However, Public Works is requiring a 15-foot easement surrounding it to ensure that there's 15 feet of clearance so that no buildings or things are getting too close to the hydrant in order for fire to access the hydrant in the future. We have not heard any public comment on this, and I can stand for any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Aldridge?
Yes, sir. If this vacation is approved, that would eliminate any access between Waterman and English, correct?
Correct.
And also, does Burlington Northern still own that section just to the west of it?
This little strip right here, yes, is owned by the railroad.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Philip. Any other advisory members? Any comments? There's not many here. I guess there's not many comments. Applicant or agent?
Chris Rose with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant, 315 Ellis, Wichita, Kansas, 67211. The applicant agrees with staff comments, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for the agent? Thank you. Anybody else here in the chambers wishing to speak on this item? Anyone else? Yeah.
There was a question in our report that comments from franchise utilities haven't been received and are needed to determine if they have utilities located in the easement. So have we heard from?
I think he said there's nothing.
Yes, standard procedure is the report gets sent out, and then Evergy gets the report and provides us comments. And so I usually do my update at the podium, and Rondi, based on the events in today's meeting, really didn't have a lot to do with Evergy. So she normally would be here if she really needed to, but she provides us the comments ahead of the meeting.
I'm just used to Rondi saying
That's
no
okay.
further comment.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
It can be ran different. Does anybody in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
A motion to approve for staff recommendations and comments.
Second.
Got a motion approved by Mr. Aldridge, second by John Williams Bay. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That's a 6-0. Next case is vacation case 2023-00045.
This application is in the county, located in the northeast corner of East Central and North 143rd Street West at 14533 East Sharon Lane. A school is currently being under constructed. It is a request to vacate a platted floodway reserve. If you want to go to the aerial, type in. During the building permit review process, it was not discovered until after the permit was issued and construction commenced that the building was essentially allowed to encroach into this floodway easement, as you can see on the aerial. And so the property owner has worked very closely with County Public Works as well as stormwater and floodway management folks on a remedy to this. And so they are bringing this application per the instructions of county staff. Construction has ceased as of now until some of these things can get sorted out. The reason they're requesting to vacate the entire floodway easement is not to actually remove the entire easement. The condition of approval on this will be to dedicate a new floodway easement once the FEMA LOMAR test has been, or LOMAR review has been completed to determine where the floodway and floodplain will be based on the terrain modifications that have happened with construction. And so the cleanest way to do that, instead of carving out a portion of the easement, they just vacated the whole easement, and they will be rededicating, and it will probably cover 90-95% of the area already. It's waiting to be determined based on the FEMA review. And so this will not go to final will not have final action on it with the Board of County Commissioners until we get that floodway reserve easement once the FEMA work has been done to protect the floodway and the floodplain based on the terrain revisions that were done and where floodplain will be in the future. There's been, I had one comment from the HOA president to the north. For those of you, obviously, we recently heard a Board of Zoning Appeals case regarding signage on this site. So this is a fairly familiar project for most of you. The comment I heard from this is they were just concerned about the idea of the floodway being vacated. And when I explained the situation that it will be rededicated and it will be protected and things like that, that's what they wanted to hear. They just wanted to make sure they understood the situation. So they did not object once they knew that FEMA was involved and all the right technical players were involved to ensure that, you know, properties upstream and downstream aren't going to be negatively affected by this change. So staff is recommending approval. We have not heard any additional public comment other than that, none in opposition. Again, they've been working closely with MABCD and Sedgwick County Public Works, who provided them the information to submit this. So they are not objecting to this vacation either. And I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Mr. Dewell?
Yes, at one time, was this pond was a lateral rural sewer project, I think, before they were on city water.
I don't know.
Mr. Aldridge?
I'm a little confused on the encroachment saying this isn't a small encroachment. This is a very large encroachment.
Correct.
And I'm sort of baffled a little bit. How in the world can this got by the permit process? I mean, didn't anybody go out there and double check before issuing the permits?
I would have to defer to MABCD on that. I don't necessarily think we have a rep present from MABCD, but we're not involved in the permit process.
Well, there just seems to be a trend of a lot of encroachments going on in the flood zone and the floodplain. There's a reason why we have those zones in the plain set up. And I just have some concerns about, you know, the trend that we're seeing lately here of an awful lot of encroachments. And I think we need to see what we can do about putting a stop to that. That's not a good situation.
Any other questions of staff? This is kind of reverse of what we heard the other day when somebody didn't take a permit out and we were all over them. So I don't know who we need to slap with this, but there's a lot of cases like this. I know one, and I can remember way back, Mays Road in Central. When they developed that whole area, they determined once they brought something else in there, they redid that study and found they'd made a bad error. And luckily they redid the drainage report, or otherwise they wouldn't have caught it. Okay, any other comments from advisory board members? Hearing none, agent or applicant? Give us your name and address, please.
Agent Cooper Doms, 1554, excuse me. Sorry, office number.
1525.
Don't have mine.
1525.
1525 East Douglas. Thanks.
Haley Thompson, GLNV, working this co-agent with Cooper. So when we went through the original.
Can you speak in the mic just a little bit more? Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me. Is that better? All right. So when we were going through the building permit process, we did work with MABCD and the state to get our floodplain fill permit, which ensured that we were not adding any fill into the floodplain on this property. So the easement we're looking at was platted roughly in the 70s and roughly followed the floodplain of what it was believed to be at that time. Since then, FEMA has done their modeling and assigned an actual elevation to the floodplain here. So our building finished floor is almost 5 feet above that floodplain to protect the building, and only a very small portion, much less than what you see here, was in the actual FEMA floodplain. So this represents the easement created while the actual FEMA floodplain varies and follows that elevation very closely. So this isn't an actual representation of the floodplain, just the legal document that went alongside that. So there was a very small portion of the building within the floodplain, and we worked with the state to ensure that we were not adversely impacting that floodplain. So we actually had cut or removal of dirt adjacent to this area to make up for any fill that we might have placed in the floodplain. We had cut to compensate for that, so that there would be no adverse impact to our property or any other properties downstream, upstream from us.
Do you know, has FEMA signed up on this yet? Are you aware of?
No, originally we were not under the understanding that we were going to do a letter of map revision. We were just working with the state. So that's why we had gone down that path, doing the state floodplain fill permit. And at this point, now that we are vacating this easement, we've brought FEMA into the mix. So that paperwork has not been finalized yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you. Did anybody else here in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve for staff comments and recommendations.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Aldridge, second by Ms. Miles. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 6-0. The next item is subdivision item 2023-00050. Drake Estate Edition.
Neil Straw Planning Staff, the Drake Estates Edition is a county plat. This encompasses 5 lots. The zoning is RR Rural Residential. For item A, we will need a approval memo from MABCD regarding on-site sewage facilities. The property is within the Rural Water District number 3, and MABCD recommends connection if service is available. Regarding drainage and item D, that can be updated. I received word this morning from County Stormwater, the drainage concept is approved, and they like to see the drainage easements labeled as floodway reserve easements. And then we'll need the standard language in the platter's text in that regard. Next slide, please. Next slide. Regarding access control on item E, we have 2 access openings along 143rd. One is a shared opening and one is an opening along the reserve, which is a private drive running east-west. County Public Works did not approve those access controls since they don't meet the access management policy. Along the south on 75th Street, the applicant proposed complete access control at the intersection, nothing else along the remainder of the street. And also County Public Works wanted a 25 by 25 corner clip at the intersection. The agent did revise the plat, which is shown on the next slide. The opening that was right here will be deleted, you'll see. Yes, right there. That is complete access control now on that portion, and there will only be one opening for the reserve along 143rd. That is in conformance with what County Public Works wanted. Also along the south, there will be two openings. One along the easternmost portion of Lot 3, and one also at the southeast corner of the site. And also you'll see the corner clip has been denoted per County Public Works request. Per item I, we'll need a private drive construction certificate for that private drive. That may be an issue. County, I know the fire code requires a 26-foot wide private drive for anything over 500 feet. And I was told by the agent, this is a 13-foot wide private drive. So we will need that issue addressed when this comes back to the final plat. Lot width to depth ratio per item P required for lot 1. That's the flag lot right here. And no other comments. Any questions for staff?
Any questions of staff? Yes, not. Thank you. Any other advisory board members have any comment on this item? Go ahead.
This is Daniel with Sedgwick County Public Works. I agree with the revised access controls that were submitted.
Anyone else? Seeing none, applicant or agent?
Good morning. My name is Will Clevenger with Garver here today on behalf of the applicant. The only ask that we would have is that the existing driveway that's serving the house, that would be allowed to maintain in its current width to serve the just 2 additional lots. We're in agreement with all other staff comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you would have.
Any questions of the agent?
What was the current width on that?
It varies a little bit, but like Neil said, it's around the 12 to 13 feet wide.
And the minimum on fire is 25 foot?
6
or 26 foot?
That'd be a pretty significant width.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the commission chambers here want to speak on this item? Anybody want to speak on this? Saying none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's pleasure of the board?
I should add that fire code issue is something that county fire will have to weigh in on. We won't be able to approve a waiver for that.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendations and comments. And additionally, the applicant is going to have to, or the agent's going to have to work things out with the county fire on the width.
To that point, just a reminder that this is a preliminary plat, and so it will come back for final. So I think your comments are right on, Mr. Aldridge, with giving those comments that they worked that out with fire prior to hearing the final plat.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Ms. Fox. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 6-0. Our next item is subdivision 2023 00051, one-step final plat.
Item 5, the Fernandez edition is a county plat, one-step final plat. This encompasses 2 lots. Zoning is RR rural residential. For item A, we'll need an approval memo from MABCD regarding approval of on-site sewage facilities. And MABCD recommends connection if service is available to rural water district number 3. Next slide, please. Next slide. Lot 1 is in the southeast corner right here. And this lot is 1.61 acres, which is less than the required 2-acre minimum lot size. However, the zoning code does allow a 25% reduction in lot area due to street dedications. There was street dedication here, so that 1.61 acres would be acceptable. For item E, County Stormwater has approved the drainage plan. For item F, both lots do not meet the 200-foot lot width requirement. Per the subdivision regulations, a waiver may be granted for reductions in lot width. So that will need to be done for approval of this plat. Access controls in item G, 2 openings, 1 per each lot, have been proposed, and County Public Works does approve of those access controls as presented. Standard comment from County Fire in item H regarding compliance with the County Service Drive Code. Also, lot width to depth ratio waiver would be needed per item J for the flag lot, lot 2. And that completes staff comments. Any questions for staff?
Any questions of staff? Thank you, Neil. Any other advisory board members have any comments? Seeing none, applicant or agent, please.
Good morning, Logan Mills with Certified Engineering Design, 1935 West Maple, agent for the applicant. We're in agreement with staff comments and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions of the agent? Yes, not. Thank you. Anybody here in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would move to approve per staff comments, noting the need for waiver for lot width requirement for lots 1 and 2 and lot depth to width ratio on lot 2, block 1. Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Fox, second by Ms. Mills. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 6-0. The next item is subdivision 2023-00052.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, presenting the McFadden edition. This is a one-step final plat for a 2-lot residential subdivision in the county. Next screen, please. Next screen. And next screen. Item A, MABCD needs test for sewage and water wells, and a memo would be needed. Item B, MABC commented that south line of lot 2 runs through the water lagoon. So the property line will need to be moved to meet the 50-foot property line setback, and the applicant will address that issue. Item C, drainage plan needs to be submitted for review. Item D, standard county fire comment. Item E, there are two access openings along North 327th Street West with one opening for existing drive. County Public Works does not approve of the northern access opening. Item F, County Public Works approve of the right-of-way dedication along North 327th Street West. Item G, a waiver would be needed for lot to depth ratio of the two proposed lots. Item I and J, regarding pipeline easement, those documentations will be needed, and any setback requirements will be needed to be shown on the plat. Item O, county surveyor advises that the pipeline easement needs to be located and register of deeds certificate needs corrected. Item K, Evergy distribution does not served by Evergy. However, there is a transmission easement that runs through the property line, and Evergy does not support nor approve of any construction activities within the easement without review of final plans. Questions?
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you. Any other advisory board members have any comments on this item? Hearing none, applicant or agent, please.
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering, 117 East Louis. I'm the agent. To address some of the comments, the one about the lagoon. The property to the south is owned by the brother of this property owner, and he's going to sell the north half of this to his sister. So it's kind of a family area out there, and they're going to dedicate 50 feet to the south part of this, the property swap, so that we'll have that lagoon covered within this current property. On the access openings, just looking at, I mean, if you look at the picture here, 4th Street, this 327th stops at 4th Street. So this isn't a 327th isn't something that's going to go through and carry a lot of traffic and that kind of stuff. The access from 54 is a mile east of here and a mile west of here. So it's not like 327th has an interchange there either, or an access point. So we think we should be allowed 2 access points, one for each lot. And we're showing on the plat about as much distance as we could put between them, leaving the current one where it is, and then putting one far north on the north lot. So we'd like to have that requirement waived by the county and by this committee. Otherwise, I think we're fine with staff comments.
Any other questions? The agent? I guess I want to ask county about.
I mean, our thoughts on this is Daniel with Sedgwick County Public Works. We're trying to meet our access management policy that extends to the rural parts of the county as well. We thought looking at this plat, it would be easy enough to combine the drives for those into the one existing driveway, since it's basically on the lot line. And so that's where we were looking at having a shared access drive there so that it could meet access management policy.
Now this will come back in front of us again, correct? No? Okay. Okay, what's the play?
I have a question for the agent. Are you fine with the shared access?
No, we really like the 2 access because it's 2 different ownerships. And if an ownership changes later, it makes it more difficult. And I guess we just, being this far out there and the way everything is working out there with the roads, it just doesn't, we'd prefer to have 2 accesses. That's what it boils down to.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you. Anybody else in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I don't know anything about the access policies, and I guess wondering what's the impact on the county when there's an extra access? Is it maintenance issues? What are the costs to the community for that?
So access management policy requires 660-foot spacing between driveways. If we don't get the 660-foot, we like them to basically line up with driveways across the street from them because that basically makes an intersection. So sometimes we grant waivers based on that. As far as why we have that spacing, one is to ensure that left turns will not conflict. I doubt that will be an issue in this case, just because I think across the street from it, we do have that 40-and-8 pond. Maybe there will be a subdivision there. So if there's ever another driveway or a road that comes out of that, that develops, we'd want to make sure that we don't have conflicts there. Long-term access management policy also helps you. If you're putting in left turn lanes, you don't have to have a left turn lane running down the entire mile. Now we're way out here. This is 327th Street. But if you can imagine that if you have driveways all along the road, your left turn lane will need to be there for the majority of that length. Whereas if your entrances are restricted to specific locations, you can have a left turn lane and then you can narrow down your road to just have a 2-lane road.
The other thing is, since there's no other drives across from this, I could see where if they add a second drive, if there's development to the south, there could be an intersection there. So it would set a precedent of where to have the drive. I don't know how far west of this location there'd be any county road that's got a left turn lane in. It'd be several miles, I'm sure.
And this is dirt road, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Eric Sponsel, Deputy County Councilor. For my own clarification, is this street a section line road?
Yeah, it's a section line road.
Okay. Were the subdivision committee interested, I could read some relevant portion of the regulations in regards to this question. Based on the continued focus on me, I will read part of the code 7-204L indicates access issues, including driveway distance from intersections, spacing standards for driveways along section line roads, median length at intersections, traffic impact studies, and cross-lot access shall be in accordance with the requirements of the City of Wichita or the Sedgwick County Access Management Policy.
So shall, will, and may, which is the strongest one?
So shall is the strongest one in this situation. If you were looking to overturn it, then I would recommend you consider it as part of the standard waiver modification procedures in that analysis.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve with the waiver modification for the access opening to allow for allow for 2 access openings along 327th Street.
Second. Got a motion by Mr. Aldridge, second by Mr. Dole. Any discussion on the motion?
Can I get a clarification on that again, on the motion? Restate your motion, please.
Basically, to support the agent for the access, for two access along 327th Street instead of one.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Nay.
5-1. Mr. John William Bay voted against the motion. Any other business to come before us? Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, sir. Just one quick announcement to remind folks that we've got an open house that we're hosting this evening out at the Sedgwick County Extension Center, and that'll be an opportunity for members of the public to provide input and comments about the existing zoning code regulations regarding solar, commercial scale solar.
Anything else, Scott? And we're